Mark Lopresti is the senior market strategist and CEO of Market Rebellion, and Francis Newton is an economic strategist. They're back with us again. Mark, what do we know about Kevin Warsh, and what should we expect from him from his time as chair?
Well, we're going to expect a very different Fed chair with a very different tone and a different relationship with the stock market than under the reign of Jay Powell. Very happy to see Jay Powell's term come to an end. I know the president shares that opinion. But here's the bottom line, guys. Inflation remains pretty stubborn, although in the context of the Iran war and higher energy prices, I think we're doing pretty well. The American economy is doing incredibly well. Corporate America is doing incredibly well. We just finished an earnings season. It was the 9th straight quarter of corporate earnings exceeding expectations. So I don't expect him to come in and start slashing rates. I think he could further reduce the size of the Fed balance sheet, but I don't think we're going to see rates change anytime soon, unfortunately.
Wow.
Francis, Senator Warren has been pretty critical of this pick. She says he's basically just a sock puppet for President Trump, and that the executive branch shouldn't be dictating Fed policy. What do you say?
Yeah, it's just back to our math and chess. It's just really all numbers. And so when you look at the mechanics of the Fed, it's very interesting. So monetary policy has a 12 to 18-month lag. When you look at the inflation caused by the recent spike in oil, that is a supply shock issue. And so you can't really adjust immediately a supply shock issue with monetary policy because it has a lag. If you reduce the balance sheet, you are tightening. That's a tightening action of monetary policy. So you wouldn't want to reduce the balance sheet and reduce rates at the same time because you've got your foot on the gas and the brake at the same time. And so what really has to be determined, and I watched a phenomenal interview from Stephen Myron this morning, is what is the role of the Fed with its current tools and the lags in the system? Because it's just like when people started trading options and they did 0 days to expiration, suddenly the 30-day VIX didn't work anymore. And so they took it to a 1-day VIX. And what you're finding is that traders trade bonds, which affects yields. And traders are changing yields without the Fed's consent well in advance of any of these Fed meetings. And so when you think about the independence of the institution or Trump's influence on the institution, you have to consider those lags. The other thing, the reason Trump wants to lower rates is because the debt service alone on the federal debt has become over $1 trillion. That is going to catch up with us. And the other reason he wants to lower rates is because it is so onerous on the consumer, especially with those credit cards. And if we lose our consumer because they start defaulting on their debt, we lose our trade leverage.
Well, Mark,
and so those are the implications.
Sorry, Mark, I was surprised to hear you say you don't think that Warsh will cut rates right away, because that's what Trump has been asking for from Powell this entire time. He wants him to cut the rates. And the housing market's been hurting. Why do you say he's not going to do that now?
Because of where we are in terms of inflation, because of where we are in terms of the labor market. I mean, a lot of this, by the way, guys, is good news, right? It becomes this good news, bad news, bad news, good news scenario. The labor market remains strong and resilient, notwithstanding AI continuing to encroach on human jobs. We saw Cisco announcing yesterday the layoff of over 4,000 workers directly as a direct result of further implementation of enterprise AI. Despite that, despite the inflationary effects of the Iran war is inflationary, energy shocks are inflationary, the labor market remains remarkably resilient. The American consumer remains remarkably resilient. So, look, Warsh, yes, he will take stronger signals from the executive branch, certainly than Jay Powell did. But at the end of the day, he's an economist. He understands monetary policy. I think he's going to be a fantastic Fed chair. But the conditions aren't right at the moment. As much as I'd like to have a different opinion, guys, I want rates to come down. Trust me, for all those reasons. I just don't think we're going to see it in the near term.
All right. Mark Lopresti and Francis Newton, thank you both.
Thank you.
I know there are